Darren Collins, who was dropped off the Footscray list and has been picked up by Port Melbourne this week. Well, as I said, it was a disappointing start on the bench this afternoon, so Payne going onto the bench. And Oakleigh in second last position on the ladder, though they got their first win under their belt against Camberwell a fortnight ago, and that was very welcome for together again. And
well, we don't even smoke anymore. I don't know what he's showing us that for.
Good, that's good to hear. That's happened in the week I've been away. And there's a free kick for Port Melbourne to start off, and it's wasted no time, the Burren getting up to half forward. Perhaps they should have gone back and taken their kick. So it's Oakleigh going from right to left in this first term, and they're going with the breeze. This is Stephen James. Long handball, put his team under pressure, but a good hand off to Marshall. And the Devils come adrift up there on half forward. And there are plenty of loose Port Melbourne players. Foley, can he knock it on? Didn't really get the purchase on it. He would have liked to find Piggott, but Foley takes over again. A good smother off the boot by Joe Garbuio, the rover for Oakleigh, and now Gary Atherton swings it back and finds the centreman, Darren Mitchelson. Now here's Terry Smith. Pretty congested forward line. Pretto can't take it with him. Hand off by Mutimer. Forward, trying to get another bite at it. Smith came in to cut him off. Here's Dyson. Best on ground for the VFA up in Canberra last week, but he's wasted that possession. And there's a lot of interest around AFL ranks in Dyson. We'll be talking about the upcoming draft this week, in fact, at half-time, and a number of VFA players that are in the AFL sights as Garbuio hands the ball off to Briggs. A scrappy opening. No one able to gain positive possession. That's Owen, number 36, battling with Mutimer, and a throw in midway between wing and half forward for Oakleigh.
It's interesting, Peter, that Kevin Dyson seems to be playing on the forward line, probably ruck roving, which I think is a good move by Oakleigh because he can kick a goal, and that'll give the side a bit of a boost. It makes it a bit of a dangerous forward line with him down there. Mitchelson's
knock on, another one from Cunningham. Did very well in the JJ Liston Trophy last year.
Very solid competitor.
He's a great ruckman, isn't he, Rob Cunningham? Another one who shows his...
They did, you know, reasonably well. As Port Melbourne illustrated, it's quite possible to kick goals into the breeze, but it's going to necessitate a lot more running. And they did it very well. The goals they scored, they kicked direct the ball long through the corridor and having the running players positioned accordingly. But it's been a very good, you know, there's been a number of good tussles. Cunningham and Pritchard in the ruck's been a highlight. Garbuio, Harkins, and Darren Collins taking his time to find his feet, but he scored a goal with his first kick in VFA football. Heatherton's done very well in the centre. As you say, Dyson really came into it in the...
Kicks the ball well, Heatherton. He's so dangerous that he gets the ball around the middle. Has been a game of the smaller players today, but then again in the ruck, Cunningham has been right in amongst it. Pretto's kicked a couple and looked dangerous. And there's Oscar Harkins. Fine kick. Ashley Hicks, good goal.
Ashley Hicks has been a damaging player, Phil. He's really made them pay dearly for some inept defence on him.
Well, there's 3 goals in 5 minutes, and the Port Melbourne supporters were really cock-a-hoop. But then back came the Oaks. Quirk threading one through there, and he, along with 3 or 4 other players, got them motoring again, and they've continued on with it.
He's only a kid too, Quirk, Peter, isn't he? What, I think about 19, is it?
He might be younger than that. I think Ross 18. Might find out for us. But he gets it down there to Pretto, and this is to VFA football to make it in league ranks.
There were audible mutterings about a Williamstown Old Boys network when Footscray, under new coach Terry Wheeler, drafted Seagull pair Ian Rickman and Danny Delray. But with more than 50% of this season's VFA internal draftees having made senior AFL ranks, even hardened VFA detractors have been forced to concede that the association is a legitimate producer of prospective league talent.
It certainly has opened the eyes up towards VFA than it was previously, I'm sure. And you know, we've got another draft next Wednesday on the 20th of June, whereby players like Kevin Dyson at Oakleigh is being considered, and there will certainly be other players within the VFA ranks, players who played in Canberra on the weekend, who would be looked at seriously by AFL clubs for the draft in June.
But while league careers might be around the corner for some, Ian Rickman is back in harness in the VFA after his dreams of becoming a senior Bulldog at the second bite failed to materialise.
Disappointing in the end, because at the start of the year, after a good pre-season, it was disappointing to get injured and miss 6 weeks, whereas in the past I've been lucky and haven't been injured at all. And to cop the injury when I did right at the start of the year, just threw everything right out the door. I missed 6 games, played against the Brisbane Bears up in Brisbane in the second, and played just an average game. Played against Essendon the week before, was my first game back, and played reasonably well, had about 20 possessions, a half-forward flank, and but the Brisbane Bears game just knocked it on the head. I just lost enthusiasm after then.
It was always going to be a knife's edge with Chops basically because of his age. At 27, comparing to Danny at 22, there's a significant difference in the age of those two footballers, and Ian had to be able to produce the goods now for him to survive. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to due to things out of his control, and he missed the shot. Danny has been able to do it, has the youth on his side, and I believe will consolidate himself here.
Kicks wide to the flank, looking for and finding Danny Delray.
Initially surprised when Wheeler asked him to do pre-season training with the Bulldogs, Delray plays his 5th senior game tomorrow since becoming Footscray's 2nd-round draft pick back in March.
My goal was to play against the Brisbane Bears, the first game of the year, and I did that. And my goal now is to play the rest of the season, so I'm just going to try play week by week, take week by week, and see if I can stick it right out.
The fact that an AFL career can take off from a VFA launching pad has become widely acknowledged by those with age on their side.
There's guys from the country and from interstate, young guys who played in the Canberra side against us on the weekend, want to come and play VFA football next year because, you know, they're in the limelight, they play at the top clubs and they're play on television, and, you know, they're on telly all the time, they're a chance to get drafted.
With the AFL mid-season draft coming up on Wednesday, is Terry Wheeler looking to continue Footscray's association with VFA talent?
Yes, I am. I definitely am. There are a couple of players who we have been looking at over the last month and a half within the ranks, and it's not necessarily so that we would take them this year. I would like, if we did draft them, I would look to them to finish the season off with the club they are at and then start with the pre-season trainers with this, looking towards 1991.
You willing to name them?
No.
That's a surprise, isn't it? Wheeler keeping stum about his plans about picking up some more VFA talent for...
Good point, kicking 5 goals in that quarter of football, and 5 excellent goals they were. You know, some of the highlights from this quarter of football. There was a nice handball to the running Harkins, and Harkins has been a damaging player, probably one of Port Melbourne's best at the moment. But the ruck duels have been a fine highlight, been a feature of the game. Cunningham and Pritchard giving possession to both the smaller fleet of players, plenty of opportunities, and it's not surprising that the better players on both sides are in fact the roving contingents. We've seen B.O.G do very well. Dyson's doing exceptionally well, getting a lot of possession. But I think if you had to single out, and there's Terry Smith playing a dogged captain-coach's role, and he was a good option he sought out in front of goal.
Yes, one of the things I think I notice about the game, Port Melbourne have got a little bit more talent spread evenly over the ground, and so therefore with Oakleigh, every post has to be a winner. And I think you mentioned, like on the forward line for Oakleigh, they're just not able to score enough of those goals when they get a 50-50 chance, whereas Port Melbourne do it a little bit more easy. When they get into attack, they look dangerous. The likes of Hicks seems to be on his own, and he's played on Briggs, I think, and had the better of him, and that player must tighten up. Dyson's done some good things, but not as damaging, and his opponent Heatherton in the middle's also been pretty damaging. So I think they really need a little bit more luck than a side like Port that's got a fraction more talent.
I think also, Phil, I think one of the significant aspects of the game is because they're light on in talent, there's a tendency to be a little bit too individual players, the better players, as opposed to Port, who have a sprinkling of talent right across the board. They tend to gel a lot better in terms of as a unit. Definitely. And I guess the single feature, if I had to, you know, highlight a single aspect as to the difference of the game at this point in time, it would solely revolve around the options that Port Melbourne has in terms of finishing off, as opposed to Oakleigh, who are...
And it really is anybody. What do you think, Sam?
Oh, look, I think the game's very much in the balance. It's not beyond the realms of possibility for Oakleigh to get up. I think the significant part of that quarter is that they really made a firm commitment to themselves not to allow Port Melbourne any easy possessions. And a lot of their goals in that first half were directly resulting from Oakleigh mistakes and easy, soft possessions that they've gathered. But they really tackled fiercely. They were desperate. And Robert Cunningham in the ruck was absolutely superb. He led the way. Not only did he get up and take the knock, but he was on the ground knocking knocking the ball on, and here we see the man in question. I thought he really set the example, and you've had a bright light up forward with this guy kicking for goal now, Ian Owen, who's a superb player, and of course Big Pretto at full forward, who's capped off a fine display with 4 goals for the quarter.
Yes, and there was one of those mistakes, Sam, that let Port in for a goal to Kennedy.
But I felt in that quarter, Phil, they never got one easy possession. They really had the feel for it. There was plenty of contest, and they had numbers to the ball, which is something that they never had in that first half.
Mitchelson's really lowered his colours to Heatherton. Pretto gets the goal after the handball from Payne. And there are the stats.
Yeah,
the one that matters, though, is on the scoreboard over there.
Cunningham. Back to Dyson. Long one. What's Rino going to do? Almost marking it. Wellsford. And
Gee.
Oh, there's some pressure and desperation there now in the dying minutes.
Port haven't got the ball forward much, have they?
Hasn't Pretto put them under pressure, though, when the ball's near? It took 2 men really pushing hard to stop him taking. He nearly had it.
21 minutes gone, just 4 points the difference in favour of Port Melbourne. Tomei couldn't get it clear. Off the carpet. Yes, it's Garbuio. And the Oaks are in the front.
It's a replay of last week, Sam.
Yes, Ross, I'm just starting to think about that. But gee, there's been a fine effort, and Joey Garbuio has been a fine rover all day. Pretto did well to knock the ball out, and Garbuio from the penalty box beats the goalie in the 6 points. And there's a happy Devil supporter.
Happy little devil.
Impish.
Well, you're right, Ross. Port Melbourne have not been forward too often. They've kicked 2 goals, but that's been about it.
You've just got to hold tight now.
Oh, Fury pushed in the back. Things going the Oaks' way. Hicks got one high, so a bit of luck going the way of Oakleigh. Bulty thrown to the ground by Hicks, trying to get it out. And we've even got a little bit of sunshine late in the day here at Northport.
And the umpires are letting it go too, which is a good sign. Nothing tiggy-touch. You've got to earn a free kick.
22 and a half minutes gone. Second bottom Oakleigh lead Port Melbourne. High ball. Dyson will come over the top of Pritchard. Spoils it well. Wellsford. Oh, he's got nowhere to go. Newton, a brilliant smother. Who followed up Wellsford running into goal. Dyson with the Shepherd. Lines him up. Doesn't do all that well, but Pretto's still a chance. Yes, Reno!
Wellsford, what a superb effort. That smother, that is team lifting and match winning stuff. And Pretto, unstoppable overhead.
8 goals. Number 9 we need for Oakleigh.
We?
Yes, I'm declared my colours.
That's big of you, Ross. The 27-minute mark.
23 and a half minutes gone. And he steers it through. Number 9 for Rino Pretto.
Oh, well, this will do the club no end of good, and it's great to see because they've had a couple of hard years, the Oakleigh Football Club, a long and proud traditional member of the VFA.
And you're, Sam, that was a fantastic smother, and the kick not quite spot on, but put it in the air for Pretto and you're always a chance. And there you see Reno kick a big goal, number 9, and he has played very, very well, especially in this last quarter under a lot of pressure.
Yes, well,
probably one of the strongest marks in the competition when he's on his game.
And good play there off the ball by Dyson, telling Wellsford that he was clear, he could run and try and pick out the man. As Zauser goes to half forward in the golden afternoon sunshine. Hicks is legged. Kick off the ground from Bulty. Oh. Garbuio with determination and courage gets it to the wing. Cunningham.
I tell you, that Briggs, Wayne Briggs at halfbacks really lifted his game too.
Oh, good courage there from Dyson. Holding up 3 there.
That was great desperation by Dyson. That is superb stuff. That's probably an aspect of his game that's not that prominent. But
Yes.
geez, on that occasion, that was...
Really went after it, Sam, when it looked like it was gone.
Here's Terry Smith. Tried to do too much. No, the whistle for the good tackle. So we're into time on now. What are Port Melbourne made of? Oakleigh have shown us they've got the right stuff as Heatherton trying to inspire his team, got rid of it in time, and Mitchelson gives away the free kick. Told to go long, Harold Heatherton. He can go long too. Beautiful kick. Intercepting there was Marshall, running straight at his opponent, giving away the free kick to Piggott. Condon. Oh, takes it off his teammate. Won't matter. Condon is the better man to have the shot for goal.
And this is going to be a real thriller, Peter, because if he kicks the goal...
It's 2 points the difference.
It is.
Well, he should kick it. 35 metres out, directly in front. Number 8 for Damien Condon, and how his team need this. Well, like Pretto earlier on in the quarter, has missed a sitter, Damien Condon. And maybe that's the straw that broke Port Melbourne's back.
Much the delight of the Oakleigh supporters.
7 points the difference. We've played 26.5 minutes. Not as many goals in this term as in the third quarter, so it won't go as long the quarter. Knocked away from Cunningham, but taken by Atherton. Into the setting sun he goes. Plenty of players calling for it. Mitchelson took his eyes off it, but had support from Garbuio. Dyson rifles the handball across to Wellsford, the sealer.
Well, gee, they played some entertaining football.
And
Oakleigh.
what about Dyson's handball there, Sam? That was like a rocket.
Well, they're called rocket handballs, these,
this.
developed by Kevin Sheedy, and that one, Sheedy couldn't have betted.
Do you notice that, Peter, too? He went inside the player, not over the top of the player. He just found the gap, so he didn't have to elevate it, and the player was in step, and that's very, very classy football, Kevin Dyson. Brilliant team play. And yes, he's regarded as one of those players that can do a lot individually, but his team play in the last quarter been superb.
Well, they've kicked another 5 goals, Oakleigh, in this last quarter. Zauser took his eyes off it there, and Dyson has come to the fore when he was needed. So has Mitchelson after having a quiet second half. Wellsford in this last quarter, he's been a revelation. Pretto for number 10.
And I said if he kicked 10, they'd win the game.
I knew you'd remind us.
What a mark. That is just superb. Look, in games against Coburg, I've seen this fella really turn it on under pressure, and he can be a one-man band.
Keep going.
Really got probably the strongest pair of hands in the competition. Had a year at Coburg in 81 and played full-back and was a superb player.
Some sort of good luck charm there from that supporter. It works. Not that Pretto needed it. 10 for the Oakleigh Spearhead, and they're home. The second bottom side have beaten Port Melbourne on their own patch. Goal 46 for the season for Rino Pretto. What a day to remember for this club in adversity. 2 wins in a row it'll be.
Well, they were a power side in the 70s too, Peter, so it's great to see them in a revival like this. I mean, with all respect to Port Melbourne a great side too, but they've been doing it hard.
Pritchard to Heatherton. Harkins. A loose man, Foley. From 45, Gerard Foley hits the woodwork. Second poster in the last quarter for Port Melbourne. I remember I said them while you're saying I predicted this. I will too. Remember on half forward when they were a bit lucky to get a free kick? And from then on, it's been one-way traffic, hasn't it?
It's just a little turning point in the game.
We've played 29.5 minutes. Fine mark taken by Condon.
Come back!
I have to move it quickly if there's any chance at all. Bolty for Oakleigh. There it is. And you'd think they'd won the premiership. And why not? A well-deserved victory by the Oakleigh Football Club, and they've won it quite convincingly in the end. 18-point victors are the Oaks. And they've stood very firm today. And what a second half by Oakleigh. 7 goals, 8 they were at half-time. And they've had all the play since then. And they did it against the Breeze in the last quarter after Port Melbourne went in at three-quarter time with a 4-point lead. Oakleigh with every player lending a hand, have pulled off a very memorable victory here today. And Ross Booth is out there to talk to the Wards Express man of the match. He could take some finding in amongst that lot. I don't think you need to be told who it is, but we'll leave you in suspense for what it's worth. But Phil, Sam, you really must admire Oakleigh under Terry Smith, what they've done here today.
Great fight back, Peter, and they've got every right to be excited. And that man, Pretto, in the goals, I think he was a key figure. The running players, Garbuio in the last quarter especially, Briggs who lifted his game, and Dyson in the middle. Superb creative football. Great game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Phil. And it's
on a great game. Wards Express man of the match, thoroughly deserved, and congratulations on 7 goals in VFA.
Thanks very much, Ian.
In fact, Ian is an ex-Oakleigh player, so it's a good day for him. Reno, 10 goals, terrific. And the keys to the MX6. Now, you got a message for Sam and Phil, particularly Sam?
They can come for a drive in the car with me if they like.
That's terrific, yeah. It is great, Stalwart. You know, this must be one of the best wins you've had, really, TV match.
It's been great. It's been a great day today for the club. We really needed it. We've proven to a lot of people we are a good club. And where we are on the ladder is a true indication of how good we bloody well are. So let's get up next week too.
Okay. Rino Pretto, man of the match.
Well, you really have to be as excited as they are about that, because they really were a chopping block for the first 7 rounds.
And of course, Pretto just started to take those marks that he dropped earlier on, and that was the difference. It was just a superb performance, and what a great game.
Couldn't agree with you more, Phil, and they did it so conclusively. I was very impressed, and what Pretto said at the end was a very valid comment. You know, their position on the ladder is not indicative of the form that they displayed today. You know, they're as good a side as I've probably seen outside of Coburg and Springvale at their top.
You said something, Sam, that they played entertaining football. Now, that's got to be more interviews for us.
Smith, and on the right of screen, Kevin Dyson, Martin Mellody. Terry, terrific effort today.
Yeah, it's great. That's you know, we've done it hard all year. We've had things haven't been the best for it, but today it's just made it all worthwhile. You know, it's great.
Dream come true, terrific. And Martin Mellody, half-forward flank, a terrific game by you. You know, if it wasn't for Reno's 10, I think we would have given you the nod.
Yeah, well, last year I played a shocker when we played on TV, so got dragged in the second quarter, so I thought I should play all right today.
Well, terrific. And Kevin Dyson, you knocked up the possessions again. I think you had over 30. Great game by you.
Oh, it's good for the club. Just great to get a win today, and I'm sure the club will do well for the rest of the year.
Yeah, good on you, Kevin. Okay, all those happy Oaks of the Devils. Terry, what are you, the Devils, or are you the Oaks?
I don't know, Devils, I think.
Doesn't matter,
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter
of course,
tonight.
we're going out with Trevor. Trevor, give us a blow on that bugle, will you? Happy scenes down here up Northport.
And Trevor's lost his lip. He's put so much into it to get them home this afternoon.
Won't he be fun in the club room, the boy?
Yeah.
He didn't give in at any stage.
No, even when they were 5 down.
Well, we'll have a look at some highlights from that memorable last term, remembering that Port Melbourne were 4 points up, and they kicked the first 2 goals, and I thought they had really broken Oakleigh's back then, but they showed us what they were made of, Oakleigh.
Can I pose a question to you? You know, I know we've devoted a greater portion of our time, and rightly so, to the great victory of Oakleigh, but where do Port Melbourne go from here?
There's that. Well, yes, Sam, that's a good question. I suppose Yorgie out of the side, they seem to have a stronger side today. I thought before the game their balance was good. There's Owen kicking a superb goal. And that was a real lifter, because it was tight in the last quarter.
We mustn't forget Michael Owen kicked 6 as well, and Damien Condon for Port Melbourne kicked 7. So some big goal kickers here today.
And Dyson, the kick. Look where he's
well,
put
Collins,
the ball.
for his first game, took a while to adjust, didn't he? And the Fury and Love are also having difficulty in adjusting. I know they've had a couple of injuries, but you know, Port Melbourne have got a lot of soul searching to do, and a number of players have really got to give a little bit more to the club. And I think that'll be of grave concern to Yorgie and the Brains Trust, Phil.
Look at that mark. You're dead right, but that mark by Pretto, I mean, really, you wouldn't see any better. No. That was Tony Lockett taking a marking lead.
Forward.